I want to bring you Patrick Bet David with Bill Maher and just show you how you negotiate and deal with somebody who's taking a very adversarial stance, who's very prickly, who's not necessarily going to listen to reason. So just in terms of somebody that you can model, Patrick Bet David does this fantastically, and it's an interesting conversation. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you a few little practical points, I hope, and enjoy the show.
Oh, Biden's not done a bad job. Why do you think he has? What's so awful?
Look at him. He's like, I really going to watch myself and think about this before I answer because, well, it's pretty obvious what a horrible job Biden's done. But
so when Trump was becoming 2016, when he was going to be president, everybody said World War III is going to get started. Do you trust him with the nuclear button? What if he starts this? What if he starts that? Everybody's like, oh my God, end of the world, war is coming. Everybody was worried about it. This guy's going to be a dictator. That's all mainstream media ever talked about.
So right there, what Patrick Bet David is doing is he's aligning with Bill Maher and pacing and leading him. So you're not being adversarial, but you're getting your opponent in the debate to agree with you and demonstrating that you understand his thinking and position.
Then he's president, 2.5 years. Nothing. COVID then happens, of course, things change. It was a surprise to everybody. Zero wars, zero issues, ISIS disappears, temperature for war is down, economy is doing well, everybody's happy. COVID happens, rather than choosing to, put the onus and the responsibility on China, what do? We put it on Trump. Trump's the enemy. Then America gets more and more and more divided. When 9/11 happened, we didn't say it's Bush's fault. We said 9/11, except for Michael Moore. When 9/11 happened, we didn't say it's Bush's fault. 9/11 happened, we said, the enemy's out, America united. So I think we had an opportunity to be united during COVID. I think we missed the mark by picking on that guy. And then it was, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, I'm supposed to hate you. And then there was division.
But a large part of the reason that we united against Donald Trump is because, or divided the country, is because that's what the media wanted. The Democrats control the media, and they informed them that Donald Trump was at fault. That's the same reason that we saw the violence and the riots and that they encouraged, because this was all to get Trump out of office, just for the record, in my opinion.
Then Biden gets elected. And everyone's like, this guy's going to be the president of peace. Really? Yeah, okay, cool, let's see. He's going to be the one that's going to bring peace. Shambles with Afghanistan. Then you got Ukraine and Russia. Then you got Israel and Hamas.
Okay, I get it. You're on the red team. I don't have a team like that.
It's not about the red team.
It really is, because it's like...
It really is. It really is. I'm just a really prickly bear, and anybody who's going to go out there and try to defend Donald Trump, well, you're on the red team.
Pick apart Afghanistan. I feel like that's such a bullshit one. Yeah, did they?
Bullshit. I mean, we left billions of dollars worth of weapons for the Taliban behind. We did not notify our allies there, and we left Americans behind enemy lines. And this was just, anybody would have made the same mistakes? No. This is absolutely inept leadership, and Biden absolutely deserves to be blamed for it. Terrible. It might have precipitated the Russian invasion of Ukraine as well.
They stick the landing? No, they didn't. They did not stick the landing on Afghanistan. I'm not 1,000,000% sure that it would have gone differently, however they did it, whoever did it. But no, probably.
No, I guarantee you that if Donald Trump was there, they wouldn't have left billions of dollars of weapons behind for our enemies. That, in anybody who is witnessing this posturing knows that that was either intentional treason or a horrendous mistake.
Somebody could have done it in a more efficient way. What I know is he was the one who had the guts to do it, which needed to be done. Nobody else would rip off the Band-Aid. But just in general, these sort of like...
Trump was going to do it in May, and he was going to do it in a different way. So let me ask a question a different way with you.
Okay, but this rosy picture of Trump that you paint, again, I don't know why it has to be so red team, blue team. I'll give you.
The only thing that you're doing, Bill, is on the blue team. You defend Biden because you have TDS.
That the worst things that could have happened under Trump did not. You're right. He did not nuke a hurricane as he once proposed or
God.
thought about. That alone should be scary enough that he considered it. There are good people around him. I'm glad there's good people around him who will convince him that you can't nuke a hurricane. But that is the kind of stable.
That's just such a straw man. You're getting your opponent to try to argue around some nonsensical argument. That's exactly what Bill Maher is doing rather than staying focused on Afghanistan in this case.
Genius you think was a good president or you want back there, that doesn't keep you up at night. So, like, did he do that? No. Doesn't mean he wouldn't in the future. He's insane in a lot of ways, truly insane.
TDS.
Yes, the economy, not a hard thing to do if you do that kind of Republican, tax slashing of the richest. It does put a lot of money in society. Of course, they get most of it back, but.
Well, you see how the economy's done under Joe Biden, where they've just printed money up the wazoo and distributed it that way to the wealthy, like to BlackRock, who gets to buy up whole entire family housing subdivisions at a 0% nearly interest rate, and then they just print the money, and BlackRock has an automatic profit because you're just inflating the currency and giving a low interest loan. That is just Bidenomics in action with the prices raised for everybody else. So yeah, Trump did a much better job with the economy. And yeah, it is simple, but look at it under Biden today. Does anybody feel that they're better off? Very few people.
But Biden's the one who had the harder job, which was making sure the economy didn't crash after the pandemic, which I thought.
You mean when you close down schools and small businesses and keep open Amazon in all the blue states, and then that's the hard job? So you basically start burning down the house, and then you give credit to Biden the fireman who started the fire, the arsonist, the blue team rather, and then they're there to try to put it out with a flood of printed money. And you give them credit for this? They started it. They created the problem.
But it would. I said, how can you spend $6 trillion, more than we spent on World War II, in just a couple of years, and soft landing? I mean, I could give you the stats, but if Trump was president, you don't think he would be bragging about this economy? You don't think he would be bragging about those numbers?
It's interesting.
The stock market, the unemployment level, inflation going down.
I think.
Isn't that all true?
I think.
Oh, you're such a politician. You can't just answer the question.
No, I think your voice became so big the last 3 years, and I think you've gotten so many things on that you have a massive Republican and conservative and libertarian listeners.
I
massive.
know. Because, you're right.
Why do you think, though? Why do you think that is?
Because I call out the left on their bullshit.
Which bullshit?
You see, this is just really good negotiations. You're giving somebody credit. And Bill Maher before was being very prickly. Now you're trying, once again, to realign him with you. Patrick Bet-David is almost certainly a master of negotiations because he's able to understand the personality of people, play into their egos. And I think this is just something that you guys can take away. Instead of battling back, you just realign yourself and try to get the person back over to your side where he's more willing to listen to common sense, because Bill Maher in this whole episode here, in this whole clip, is much more prickly than PBD.
The left?
No, I know, but what part of the bullshit? I agree.
Oh.
So, the whole thing you said by the next 20 years we're all going to be gay, that one thing they did that went by, that was phenomenal, right?
Yes.
You gave out stats. It was data-driven, 0.07% traditional,
that was a joke at the beginning of it.
But then you said,
of course, I understand what you're talking about. It was about the trendiness that there is why you're asking me why they like me. I'll tell you why. Because take an issue like that. There is a sensible answer there that is not what either side is saying, which is that trans is, of course, a real thing. Some people are just born and they feel like not like the body they have, put it that way. And that's a real thing. And they should be allowed to enjoy a great life with no judgment and support. And
I'm sorry, I will still judge people that feel this way as having a mental disorder. It doesn't mean that I'm going to treat them meanly, but there are certain things that automatically one interprets if you're being logical and using game theory as to what's best for yourself when dealing with people. That such a person, I can respect them, I can treat them very nicely, but I'm going to assume and judge them as having a mental disorder. The same way that if somebody who's incredibly thin and anorexic, says, I need to chop off my arm so that I lose more weight. Yeah, that's a mental disorder too. So, sorry, Bill.
Sometimes actual surgery, if that's your choice. I'm a libertarian. Do what you want with your body, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else. And there's an element now that is also trendy. Both things are true. Mm-hmm. But of course, if you say that, you don't have a team. And I don't want either one of those fucking teams. That's why
but by the way, so libertarian.
But that's the truth. It's somewhat trendy.
Yeah.
Kids are just doing it sometimes because the grossest thing to be would be anything hetero or cis.
I think it's weird. I think it's very weird. So that's one. So you brought that up, and that got a lot of parents, left, right, middle, doesn't matter where you are, who have kids. They're like, look, I just want my kids to be. I'm not trying to celebrate and force my kids and say, thank God I got a gay kid. I'm so happy. If the kid is gay, he's gay. Not this celebrating the fact that he is gay. Let me help you become even more gay than you are. It's a little weird.
I mean, I've seen gay.
That is the left today, by the way.
People hung from cranes in Iran.
Yeah, I lived there 10 years.
I'm saying.
I know, the biggest comedian, they killed him, they cut his dangle and put it in his mouth.
Is that right?
Yeah, in Germany at a hotel. But so let me go back to...
They cut his dick off
and put it in his mouth.
That's such a mob thing to do.
That isn't. You know who did that? The same people a lot of these guys support with Hamas and the Iran-funded militias that's being created. They did that to that comedian. They did.
Yeah, because that's ideology. And when ideology that is very virulent and extremist gains power, they're able to enact what they truly want. And that's what you see with Hamas openly saying that they wish that they could do October 7th again and again to Israel until there were no more Jews left and kill everyone. And people somehow support them. You just gave a great example, PBD, of what happens when you support such people.
There's a lot of vicious things that happened during that, but I want to stay on this topic with you. I'm curious, because I think you were one of the most necessary voices the last 3 years. And I said this in a video earlier.
Well,
we talk about it on the podcast all the time. I put you in the camp of you, Rogan. It's like 10 names that I put up. Super necessary, because you're not supposed to have the positions that you have. Then you said...
Again, aligning with him, somebody is much more apt to listen to you when you engage with their ego in a kind and gentle way. And I actually do believe that PBD means what he says, so it's just a great way to gain rapport and negotiate.
You sat with Seth MacFarlane, phenomenal conversation, the one that you had. I watched that one. Then he had Jimmy Kimmel on. I love the fact that he came on the podcast. I applaud him that he came on, and he actually sounded reasonable when you guys were talking. And the COVID vaccine position you took, and you said you took one for the camp, you took one for the team, right?
Took one for the team.
Right, so you took one, so you didn't want to take it for the team.
I mean, that's being a little more charitable than I deserve. I did take one for the team, but I also did it for myself, because if I hadn't have done it, I just could not have lived my life. They wouldn't have let me within 20 feet of the building that I work.
You think that's okay?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. This is why I listen to you, because you are sane and you will call the left out for their crap. This is why I respect you and why I'm bringing you this conversation and why I put up with your TDS, which belies your general intellect.
Yeah, but that's the position.
No, I don't. I resent it to this day. But I also, again, believe in some level of compromise. And that was mine.
You ever read the book Power versus Force?
No.
Okay, in this book, Power versus Force, they talk about how there's the lowest level of consciousness, apathy, guilt, all all these things, anger, desire, all this stuff. That's a lower, and then the level you come up is what? Courage. You have the courage to have the conversation, and we have a dispute and disagreement, and we hash it out, right?
Right.
Well, we got the courage to talk about it. You got the courage to have Kid Rock here. You have the courage to have, you've had everybody here. Stephen A. Smith here.
Hitler.
Yeah, you haven't had him yet, but you've had the courage to have a lot of people here, right? That's courage. Then it's acceptance that we're different.
Right.
Then willingness to talk.
Right.
And the ability to reason. And then it goes
Correct.
to love and a few other levels this book talks about.
Yeah.
I think
I see.
if we put levels of consciousness by political party, I think libertarian is probably in the middle. It's kind of like, look, man, do what you want to do. I accept the differences. I'm willing to have it out. But I think the left falls below 200 level of consciousness because it's a lot of force. And we know what's right for you, and you don't. There is no reason on the left.
Oh, sweetheart, you are preaching to the converted here. I'm always bitching about this.
That's exactly correct. The left wants to run your life. I am basically a libertarian with liberal values. And when I say liberal values, I mean freedom of the individual to choose to live as they desire. And the left wants to control every single person, and they always know what's best. And that's exactly what Bill Maher said. He's like, you're preaching to the converted. He's no longer considering himself on the left, at least not that left. Credit given.
You're supporting Biden, though.
Of course, because we only get two choices. I mean, what is so hard to understand about bad and worse?
They forced America to take the vaccine, Bill. 70% Americans took the vaccine and they didn't want to take it.
Right, he's going to equivocate somehow here, I bet. But credit given. You see, PBD laid the trap. He walked Bill Maher in and got him to agree with him, and that the left demands that you follow suit. And then Biden fits into that frame very easily, mandating the vaccines, and he's absolutely nailed Bill here in this debate.
A lot of them didn't want to take
Wait a
it.
second. When did the vaccine come about? Under Biden? No, under Trump.
No, it didn't. It came 2 days after election was over with. 2 days after election was over with, Pfizer announced it was not under Trump.
Oh.
They intentionally kept the vaccine
You're right.
after the election, so they gave the victory to
That's right. But
Biden.
Trump was not Trump was like, I created the vaccine.
I don't disagree with you. I agree with you.
Oh,
he
I
takes
see.
it as a victory. I'm on the same page with you.
Okay,
But there's a difference, though.
Yeah,
This is the one difference, Bill.
but I don't
May
even-
I say this? May I say this? And then push back. Here's the difference. You know what the difference is? How many times have you heard Trump get on stage and brag about warp speed? We saved 100 million people's lives,
can
right?
I just ask you a simple yes or no question?
Yeah.
Not exactly yes or no, but who are you voting for?
I'm voting for whoever allows me to make decisions more and not somebody that decides what's good for me or not.
Bro, we're not in a debate here.
No, the
That's
left-
what-
But the problem is that why is he asking this question? I don't get it, and I don't know why PBD didn't continue to nail him on the lack of choice. Now he's bringing it up in the context, in the frame of who he's voting for, but this is, I don't get this.
The left
I
forced
asked you a
to take
yes
the
or no-
vaccine.
Wait a second.
The state of
We-
California and the industry you're in force you to take the vaccine.
So you don't know who you're voting for?
I'm voting for whoever allows me to have more freedom with the choices I make.
And
Thank you.
don't know
I
that
agree.
yet?
It's
Obviously, we
definitely
know.
not going to be Biden.
Well, then it would be Trump, wouldn't it?
If it's between the two choices,
What? But look at you.
are you kidding me? It's not even a close call,
But
by
the
the
fact
way.
that you just can't own it is very weird, man. This like, who are you voting for? Well, the Constitution says it's two words: Trump, Biden. I'm voting for Biden. I'm owning that. Do I think he's
Yeah,
perfect?
but I don't,
no.
But I don't think it's
I think
like
it's
that.
not even.
I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like
Well,
that.
just say you're for Trump.
If a person
I don't
watches my,
dislike you for your. I don't
but
dislike.
Bill, if somebody watches my podcast, they're gonna know who I'm voting for.
Well,
If somebody watches a podcast, they're
but
gonna
how
sit there.
odd that you can't just say it then.
Because to me, I'm voting based on values. I'm not voting based
Okay,
on.
but we know what the values are of Biden and Trump and their policies
You're right.
are. We know everything.
We know that Biden mandates and forces you to take the vaccine. We know that Trump is much more liberty oriented. So given the two choices, my question for you guys is, who are you voting for? With PBD Trump or with prickly Bill Maher Biden, who he still does because he forced him to take the vaccine, but he can strawman Trump about threatening and wondering whether or not he can use a nuke on a hurricane. Those are your choices, people.
The left
them.
is about force, the right is about choice. I don't want to be forced
Again.
to have to do something I don't want to do.
So there you guys have it. That was pretty close to a masterclass in debate and communication with Bill Maher, who's very prickly about the subject of Trump. Major TDS, as I pointed out. If you got something out of this, please give this video a thumb up, share the video, and have yourself a fantastic day. Life is too short to worry about too much in life. Go have fun. Peace.